in the meantime, oh, it's Kat! Yay!
Didn't click my way in, but I'm here. So
Okay,
glad
you're
you're
here.
here.
Let
Happy
me,
birthday.
yeah, happy Earth Day. Let me get you on screen here. But let me also say, Kat Taylor is the co-founder and board chair of Beneficial State Bank and the founding director of TomKat Ranch Educational Foundation. So, yay, Kat, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today. It's a wonderful way to celebrate an important day.
Yeah, it's just great to have you here and good to see you as always.
Thank you.
Basically, I've just been asking people to spend a little bit of time talking about themselves and their work. We've got a great audience of kids and families out there who some of them are going to be sort of celebrating Earth Day in a different way,
Mhm.
and some of whom are celebrating Earth Day for the first time. So, yeah. Tell us a little bit
Great.
about yourself and your work.
Sure. Thank you. So I care a lot about systems change to make sure that we create beloved communities that are ecologically sustainable, racially equitable, and socially just for all people. And what I mean by systems change is that we work in these giant systems that have lots of different elements and structures and cycles. You can think of it like a solar system or the soil, which is its own living system. When you approach problems at the systems level, you can identify the root causes of anything that's giving you trouble and therefore open up a much bigger solution set to address those problems. So in my life, I've had the great privilege to work in systems that I call good food, good money, and good energy. At the heart of good food, we started a ranch, TomKat Ranch, to try to understand how agriculture, which is the dominant way we tend our planet, can be done in a way that's super sustainable and regenerative. In the heart of good money, we started a bank, Beneficial State Bank, because banking we think of as the original and most powerful form of crowdfunding. Deposits that we put in banks fund a lending practice which literally builds the society in which we live and work. So it's important to get right. And at the heart of good energy, which is really right now critically focused on the crisis of climate change, we have some political problems. So we need to come together as people in our democracy and our global communities to address climate change together as a global issue.
I love that you can talk about this in ways that give me hope. How do you talk to people who say it's just too big of a problem?
Yeah, I know it seems very daunting. These are massive problems with complex roots. But the fact is, when we all come together and operate on some ethical principles, we can move mountains, literally. So, in terms of banking, if we align our banking with our values and we bank with good banks and credit unions that finance wonderful things like renewable energy or sustainable agriculture, community economic development that's equitably just, then we're part of creating change in our communities that accumulate into really powerful forces. Banking is the biggest industry in the United States, and if we all aligned our banking with our values, it would produce all the wonderful things we want it to produce. If you think about the protesters at Dakota Access Pipeline, that was a crisis around a threat to a precious local resource, water, the trampling on of indigenous rights, and the acceleration of global climate change. And when people went there to protest, it caught the attention of the world. And a lot of people protested the banks who had financed the pipeline and pulled their money out of there. And believe me, that was noticed. I'll use one more example, the Divest Invest movement, especially on college and university campuses where students come together to insist that those universities and colleges manage their money in a way that doesn't contribute to fossil fuel development and therefore climate. So coming together, we do much better together than we can apart.
You are speaking the language we all need to hear, and it reminds me that we have all heard such inspirational language from youth in our world. I mean, Greta Thunberg is certainly the most well-known example, but I have a feeling you must run into kids who are in their teens, and of course, I think of kids being in their 20s now.
Yeah.
What about your interaction with the youth of our country, of our world, gives you some hope, some encouragement?
Well, sure. We're very lucky in the company that we keep. On the banking side, we recruit enormous numbers of young people who wouldn't work for just any bank. They want to work for a bank that's aligned with environmental well-being and social justice. And they have fantastic ideas about how to solve some of the big problems in our world. On the food side, of course, everybody eats. It's a very poignant, compelling way to engage. And when we choose our food carefully, we influence the food supply chain from which it comes. So we work with a lot of students in public schools to make sure they're getting the very best California purchased, locally grown, mostly organic, minimally preserved and processed, cooked from scratch food. And when you accumulate all those students making that choice and getting that good food, that's 1 billion meals a year, and that changes the supply chain of food. And then on the university side, I've had the great privilege of working with the Divest Invest community and a lot of the college campus leadership. And they are pointing out that even in the time of COVID, the crisis around the pandemic and the economic shutdown, which of course are top of mind, we have to remember that this is our chance to reveal and recognize the deep problems in our economy and our ecology, all the while that have been made worse by COVID, but it's time to address them once and for all. Even something like universal broadband, which we don't have yet, a terrible digital divide, is being accentuated in the COVID crisis because we're asking students to do distance learning remotely from their homes. And if they don't have broadband or Wi-Fi, how on earth are they going to do that? So let's fix these things once and for all.
I'm sure you also hear the conversation being, well, we can't worry about the environment and we can't worry about food or banking or anything. We just need to fix the crisis in public health. And what do we say? What do you say to someone who says, you can't do these things all at once?
So, of course, our first regard has to be for those afflicted with the virus and the frontline caregivers and emergency responders who are risking their own lives to help other people. Nobody would ever disagree with that emphasis. But in fact, we may find out that our vulnerability to pandemics and our inability to respond to disasters in general have a root cause in the unsustainability of our ecological commons and the way we manage our economy. So we need to do both at once. We have to provide the immediate care and safety and concern for those afflicted and those caring, but we have to get to the root causes of a bunch of these problems. And our agricultural system needs to be resilient to disasters, not just of a health nature, but we can expect to have disasters related to climate because we're past a bunch of tipping points. And if we don't have a secure food supply, we'll just run from one emergency to another.
So you've got a chance to say to some kids and families out in the audience today, and then this will be recorded and shown and available on the web. You've got a chance to say to them, here's some things that you can do. What do you suggest?
Well, I thought a lot about this because it's been a while since I was a child, but I know that my deep regard for our ecological systems, Mother Earth, nature, came in part from being immersed in nature. And it's really a part of honoring nature to be in it, to experience it. Whether that's understanding the constellations and how we fit into our physical universe, or digging into the dirt, which once you dig into healthy soils, you find out it's not dirt at all. It's a whole living system with billions of organisms and mycorrhizal superhighways running throughout it. And I think that natural curiosity helps us become lifelong learners because these are complex issues. You have to really study them. I had to really study the banking system to understand even how I could begin to try to do of service to changing it for good. I have to understand the science of agriculture if I'm going to be of service to creating a sustainable food system. So I think it's being out, appreciating nature, which is nothing but fun, and then having the curiosity to learn deeply about these fields. And I'll put in one appeal. We have too few people understand how the economy works, how finance works, how business works. But business and the economy drive deep and lasting societal outcomes, not just business ones. So I always appeal to young people to really dig into those subjects too.
Absolutely. By the way, I want to tell you that I am going to learn to use the term microrhizomal superhighways, and I'm going to work that into my conversation at some point soon, and thank you in my mind as I do. So, yay for calling out the need for all of us, kids and adults, to continue to learn, to keep our hands in the soil and our minds alert to all the possibilities, whether it's in nature or in the economy. There's just things we can do and ways we can live in the world that will be helpful, right?
Absolutely. A couple, let's see, 7 billion heads are better than one.
All right. It's been so lovely to have you here. I really want to say thank you and see you around the Hip Hop Dance Fest this year, I hope.
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. I hope we get to congregate again, but I know Mikaya's smart. She'll have us doing it virtually. Could I close with a short song?
Go ahead.
All right. They say that these are not the best of times, but they're the only times I'll ever know. And I believe there is a time for meditation in cathedrals of our own. So when I see that sad surrender in my brother's eyes, I can stand aside and only sympathize. For we are always what our situation hands us, with either sadness or euphoria. We're going for euphoria.
You are awesome. You are the best.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kat Taylor, we'll see you soon. Cheers.